Hey, what's up guys? I'm back on site at my mom and dad's house right now, and I'm here to help them with a pretty big problem that they have on their hands right now. And when I say pretty big, I mean it. That problem is a bear. They have a bear that's in their neighborhood right now that's trying to go through their trash almost every single night. As you can see right now, they have these ratchet straps on here to try to keep the lid shut, but that's not cutting it. The bear's still getting into these trash cans, dragging the trash out the yard. And if you've ever had that happen to you, then you know how annoying it is to have to go and pick up trash throughout your yard. I've had to do it before, and trust me when I say it is not any fun. So in today's video, we're gonna try to tackle that problem by basically building some sort of storage bin that these trash cans can live in so that we can keep the trash inside of these things and the bear out. All right, let's get started. Alright, so first up, let's get these little bear snacks out of the way and make room for this new trash can storage bin. After hearing about this bear issue, I had initially decided to see what options were out there for trash can storage, and I came across this particular one from Home Depot. I liked the look of it, but thought the price was a bit like that bear. Aggressive. And actually, when I first looked this one up, it was around $850 instead of the $742 it's listed for now, so I made the decision to see if I could build something similar and save a few doll hairs. For this build, I decided to create some custom plans on SketchUp that were loosely based on the look of that one from Home Depot. I'll be using a combination of pressure-treated 2x4s and cedar fence boards to construct this storage bin. My first step was to cut down all of the pieces I needed for my frame out of that 2x4 lumber. With all of the pieces cut to size, it was time to start assembling the main box structures that would make up the frame of the storage bin. Basically, I'm building 3 separate box frames here, and I'm going to join them together with some 2x4 pieces using some outdoor pocket hole screws. Sink it in while I make sure it's square. Right, I'll tell you when. Get it. Ow! Good thing I had these gloves on. Here, let me.
I can't quite do this. I'm good at holding. Why does it look so easy?
Because you have to. If you don't press down into it, then it'll slip off the thing.
No, you don't.
I thought you knew. I also added another piece in the middle of my box frames to give me another nailing point for attaching my cedar boards later. I just went ahead and attached these with pocket hole screws as well. Then it was time to get the 3 box structures attached together. had to get a bit creative here and use some ratchet straps to hold everything tight while I attached the connecting boards with pocket screws. This was definitely a step in the build where having a couple extra sets of hands came in real handy. Wow, that was a bad joke. I'm so sorry, guys.
Why'd I make it so tall?
Well, we had to call a bit of an audible during this part of the build because I designed the height of this thing off of our trash can at my house thinking they had the exact same one. Well, I guess theirs is a little shorter. Whoops. So instead of having the top hinged like I'd originally planned, they would go with just opening the door and sliding the trash can out to put the bags in. Saves me a couple of steps, so I was down for it. Now, since this will now be sliding in out a bunch, I will leave the bottom front of this open rather than adding another support. That'll make it easier to slide in and out. I will be anchoring this thing to the concrete, so I think it should be secure enough without that extra front support. For the rest of the top and back supports, I just attached those using some pocket screws. Because the floor of this carport was not even close to level, we had to shim one side of the frame to get it level. Once our shims were in place, we could then drill the holes in our concrete floor to attach some brackets to anchor it down.
Alright guys, we're back for day 2 in this little trash can storage bin. Yesterday we got the entire frame put together for this thing. We got it anchored to the concrete so that the bear can't lift this thing up and knock it over. And today's goal is going to be to wrap this entire thing in some cedar boards. Now for the cedar for this, I just picked up some of these cedar fence posts here. These are about a little over 1/2 inch thick, which I think will be fine for this. So the plan today is just to go ahead and get this entire thing wrapped in cedar.
Now I decided to start attaching my boards from the ground up. This meant that I would have to scribe the piece on the top to be flush. I feel like most people probably prefer to have their scribe piece on the bottom, but I felt like working with gravity, not against it today. So I just attached one board and then used that board to space out my next board. Now I did use some 1/8 inch spacers to keep an even spacing between each board. I'm just attaching the boards with brad nails initially, but I will come back and attach these boards with screws as well.
needed to add in a few more top supports here so I could attach my roof a little later. These will just give me something to screw my top boards into. With all of my boards nailed in place, I'm just coming back now and countersinking some holes and attaching each board with screws. Then I just used some of those same cedar fence boards to trim the rest of the storage bin out. We decided to do the top a little bit differently just so that we could use that pile of offcuts that we had rather than them going to waste. Now, because these were 6-foot long fence posts, the offcuts wouldn't cover the entire length of the roof. So what I did is place 2 separate rows of these offcuts on the top with a bit of a gap in between them. We will cover this gap up with some trim so that you can't see it. Now, perhaps this is not the most ideal look, but it helps save some money since we didn't have to go buy more cedar boards and it allowed us to be less wasteful. Start day 3, I gave these cedar boards a quick sand with my sander just to take away some of the roughness. Now, these types of boards would be really hard to get completely smooth, and it's not necessary to sand, but I just wanted to knock it down a bit. Then I decided to go ahead and get a coat of finish on this thing. Now, we had some of this Total Boat Halcyon gloss in the amber color left over from our porch glider build. Now, this finish is super quick and easy to apply, and I think it really brings out the color of that cedar. It's also UV and moisture resistant, so that should help this storage bin hold up really well over the years. Actually, I should really stop saying that. I think I jinxed that porch glider that we used this on because it ended up being crushed by a tree after the first month. So let's just hope this thing lasts longer. And in between coats of finish, we added some more trim to the top of this thing just to give it a cleaner look. Now it's time to get some doors built for this thing. Now we'll be making the frame for these doors out of some 2x2 pressure treated lumber. We just attached everything together using some long screws. We also added in some corner brace pieces for extra strength. Then I marked where our hinges would sit on our door. Now, because the type of hinges we got were a little bit bigger than the 2x2 frame pieces, we just added in some 2x4s that would span the width of the door for each hinge location. Then I could start attaching cedar boards to the front of my door. I attached these with nails at first and then attached with screws later. Then we screwed our hinges to the front of the door using the screws provided with the hinges. Now we could get the door installed into its opening. We first shimmed the door up using some scrap boards and then worked on getting somewhat even gapping. Once we were satisfied, we screwed the door hinges into place. Then it was just rinse and repeat for the other door. With the doors in place, I worked on attaching some locking gate latches. And finally, I applied some more Total Boat finish to the doors to match everything else, and with that, I could consider this project complete. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap up this whole trash can storage bin. I'm really happy with the way this thing turned out, and I think it's going to solve a pretty big problem for my parents by keeping that bear out of here. We have some locks on this thing, and if that bear is able to basically figure these locks out, then I'm not sure there's much more we can do to keep him out of here. But I'm pretty hopeful and pretty confident that this is going to do the job. All in all, this build took us about 3 days to complete, and we came in just under $500 for this entire thing, including everything. Now, the one that I was sort of modeled this all from was from Home Depot, and that one was about $800, a little over $800. So we were able to come in a little bit under that. Now, you could probably make it for a little bit cheaper than that. We did make some more bougie choices with the cedar, just because we really like the look of it, and I'm hopeful that it's going to hold up really well over the years. So that's kind of why we chose to invest a little bit more in the cedar wood, and I think it looks awesome. All right guys, that's gonna wrap up this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like for me. That's something small that you guys can do that really helps my channel grow, and I'd appreciate it. Also, if you're not subscribed, consider getting subscribed. I have a lot of things in the works, so I don't want you guys to miss out on that, so go ahead and get subscribed. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you for my next video. Bye.